Beneath the marble floors and golden halls of the Vatican lies a world most will never see. A silent labyrinth of catacombs, hidden chambers, and secrets buried for centuries. What lies beneath the seat of power, where faith and history intertwine? Tonight, we descend into a realm where shadows whisper stories of early Christians, lost relics, and chambers locked for generations. From tunnels untouched for centuries to archives holding knowledge that could rewrite history. Every step reveals mysteries the world above has never known. Imagine walking alongside the footsteps of the faithful, feeling the weight of time, and hearing the silence of centuries calling to you. Join us as we uncover hidden symbols, forbidden passages, and the untold stories lying beneath Rome itself. Like, share, and subscribe to Mysteries of Earth, and step with us into the hidden heart of the Vatican, where every stone has a story waiting to be heard. Beneath the radiant skyline of Vatican City, beneath the bells, the marble, and the echoing footsteps of pilgrims, lies another world entirely. It is a world without sunlight, without sound, and without time. A world carved into the earth long before modern Rome rose above it. Down here, the air grows cooler, the echo of the city fades, and the weight of centuries settles on every stone. This is the hidden underworld beneath the holy city, a place few have walked, and even fewer can fully explain. For most, the Vatican is a symbol of faith and power. Towering architecture, sacred halls, and rooms overflowing with art that celebrates human devotion. But what lies underneath tells a different story. One written not in gold, but in darkness. Tunnels stretch into the deep like veins beneath the skin of history, carrying with them traces of the people who once lived, prayed, hid, and even died within these silent corridors. The deeper you go, the more the world above feels distant, as if you are traveling backward through time itself. Here, in narrow passages untouched for generations, dust clings to ancient stones like a second skin. The silence becomes a language of its own, a soft, heavy whisper that fills the air. Every corner suggests a secret, every shadow hints at something unseen. These walls have watched empires rise and fall. They have absorbed whispered prayers, muffled footsteps, and the quiet terror of those who sought refuge in the dark. In these hidden chambers, life once flickered like a distant flame, fragile, yet determined. Archaeologists describe these depths as a layered memory, a place where each tunnel adds another chapter to a story that was never meant to be forgotten. Yet much of it remains untouched, not out of neglect, but out of reverence. For beneath the Vatican, history rests in delicate equilibrium. A single disturbance could erase clues preserved by time itself. So the chambers remain sealed, protected by both stone and silence, left to guard their ancient truths. And this is where the mystery deepens. What stories have never reached the surface? What artifacts lie buried in rooms no human has entered in centuries? Theories range from everyday objects to sacred relics, to documents that could rewrite what we think we know about the early world of faith. But here, speculation is swallowed by darkness. The truth remains hidden, tucked away in a realm where only the past has a voice. In the end, the holy city above shines brightly for the world to see. But beneath it, the silent world below waits, patient, shadowed, and unchanged. A reminder that even in a place filled with light, the deepest mysteries are often found in the places no one looks. There is a particular kind of silence that gathers around a sealed door, a silence shaped not by emptiness, but by what might lie on the other side. Beneath the Vatican, such doors exist like frozen moments in time. Some are carved from ancient stone, others reinforced with iron darkened by age. None of them open easily, not because of physical locks, but because of the memories they guard. Memories sealed away long before the world outside began to change. For centuries, these doors have remained untouched, undisturbed, and unbroken. They stand as quiet sentinels, witnesses to generations passing above them. The people who once knew what lay beyond have long returned to dust. Their secrets remain behind these barriers, preserved in darkness. Some doors were sealed for protection, to preserve fragile murals, rare relics, or crumbling chambers too delicate to survive the breath of modern air. Others were closed for reasons that leave historians whispering. Reasons tied not to preservation but to fear, to uncertainty, to knowledge someone once believed the world was not ready to hold. Imagine standing before one of these doors now. The air cools around it, heavy with the sense that time itself has thickened. The hinges, rusted generations ago, still bear the imprint of hands that once opened and closed them. Beyond the surface, faint echoes of another world wait. A forgotten room, a corridor swallowed by dust, perhaps even a chamber meant only for the eyes of those who walked these tunnels centuries before. Each sealed entrance becomes less a barrier and more a question, a quiet invitation to wonder. What lies beyond? Is it a simple storage of relics too sacred to display? A crypt, holding the remains of early believers whose stories history never recorded? Or something stranger, documents, symbols, or artifacts considered too powerful, too controversial, too revealing for the world above? The truth remains locked by both stone and intention, whispered only by the stillness that surrounds these hidden thresholds. Historians often describe these sealed places as time pockets, preserving not just objects but entire eras in silence. Dust lies where it first settled. Shadows fall exactly where they fell centuries ago. Inside, nothing moves but time itself. To open such a door would be to interrupt a perfect stillness, to awaken a chapter that has slept longer than modern memory can grasp. Yet the mystery persists. Why were some doors sealed with care, while others appear hurriedly closed? Why did some inscriptions warn against entry? And why even today do certain passages remain off-limits? Not because they are unstable, but because someone, long ago, chose silence over revelation. In the underground world of the Vatican, every locked door carries a weight far greater than its stone. It holds the echoes of faith, the shadow of history, and the quiet pulse of secrets meant to endure. And as long as those doors remain sealed, the stories behind them remain suspended between the known and the forgotten, waiting for the moment when time or curiosity may finally turn the key. Beneath the polished marble floors and sunlit courtyards of the Vatican lies a world few can picture, a realm carved not for display, but for survival. Here, ancient pathways stretch endlessly into the dark, winding beneath the city like the arteries of a forgotten empire. These tunnels are older than the Renaissance above them, older even than the earliest stones of St. Peter's Basilica. They belong to a deeper Rome, a Rome built in shadow, shaped by fear, devotion, and the quiet resilience of those who once walked these passages in secret. The deeper one travels, the more the world above begins to fall away. The air becomes colder, carrying a stillness untouched by centuries of footsteps. Walls press close, carved by hands that lived in another age. Some paths are wide enough for two people to walk side by side. Others force the traveler to duck low, as if bowing to the weight of time itself. Light barely survives here. The darkness seems to hold its own gravity, drawing sound, breath, and thought into its silent core. Few have entered these forbidden depths. Fewer still have returned with answers. Not because the tunnels are deadly, but because their purpose remains elusive. They twist through layers of history like threads of an unfinished tapestry. Some lead to known chambers, ancient burial rooms, forgotten chapels, altars worn smooth by the touch of believers who prayed in hiding. Others spill into spaces that have no names on any map, passages choked by collapse, chambers half swallowed by earth, corridors that simply vanish into blackness. Historians question why these depths exist at all. Were they built as refuge in times of persecution? As routes of escape for leaders whose lives were threatened? Or as sacred paths meant only for the initiated? In these tunnels, theories blur with myth. Some claim early Christians used them to gather in secret, their voice as rising softly through the stone as they prayed beneath a hostile world. Others believe hidden rituals or forbidden practices once unfolded in these unseen corridors. What is certain is that every step into the deep feels like a step into a world untouched by the centuries above. Occasionally, explorers report strange discoveries, a fragment of fresco clinging to a damp wall, a symbol carved into stone where no one expected it, or an alcove containing objects long abandoned but eerily preserved. These glimpses suggest stories waiting to be told, stories of hope, fear, faith, and perhaps something more. But the deeper mysteries remain wrapped in shadow, withheld by the depths themselves. For the Vatican, these tunnels are more than forgotten architecture. They are a reminder that even the holiest of places rests upon foundations shaped by human struggle and ancient secrets. The forbidden depths hold echoes of prayers no one alive has ever heard, footsteps no record has preserved, and truths that time has not yet chosen to reveal. Here, under the heart of the holy city, the darkness is not empty. It is alive, holding the answers the past buried, and the questions the present is still not ready to ask. Beneath the grandeur of the Vatican, beyond the glittering halls of gold and marble, lies another kind of treasure, one not measured in jewels, but in knowledge. Here, in corridors lined with stone and shadow, lie the Vatican's secret archives, a labyrinth of history that few have ever glimpsed. These are not corridors meant for tourists, nor for the casual observer. They belong to the guardians, the keepers of knowledge, the select few scholars who have been entrusted with what the centuries chose to preserve and what the world above may never see. The archives stretch endlessly, their shelves heavy with centuries of letters, decrees, maps, and manuscripts. Each document is a whisper across time, a voice of a pope, a king, a saint, or a citizen long gone. Some papers are over 1,000 years old, their edges brittle, their ink faded into ghostly scripts that still speak volumes to those who know how to listen. Within these vaults, entire eras rest in silence, waiting for hands wise and careful enough to interpret them. Every page is a doorway, every folded parchment a potential key to a story lost to the world. Access is not freely given. Only a chosen few are permitted to enter, and then under strict supervision. The selection is rigorous, the trust immense. To walk these halls is to move under a weight as heavy as history itself. The scholars who enter do so not merely to read, but to safeguard, to protect fragile truths from the erosions of time, from curiosity that could damage what must remain intact. Their work is delicate, almost sacred. A single careless touch could erase centuries of human memory. Within these archives, some of the most intriguing mysteries of the Vatican are said to reside. There are maps rumored to detail secret tunnels beneath the city, illustrations of chambers unseen, and documents hinting at discoveries made beneath St. Peter's Basilica that were never revealed to the public. Letters between rulers, records of hidden relics, decrees that shaped the course of empires, all lie preserved in silence, layered upon one another like sediment of human thought. For those who study them, each page is a puzzle, each inscription, a clue waiting to be understood. Yet as meticulous as the keepers are, the very act of guarding knowledge creates its own mystery. The world sees only what they allow, and what remains hidden grows ever more tantalizing. The archives are a vault not just of information, but of control, a reminder that history itself is shaped not only by events, but by what is chosen to be remembered and what is left in shadow. To step into these archives is to step into the quiet pulse of time. It is to feel centuries pressing gently against the air, to hear the faint hum of voices preserved in ink, to witness how knowledge itself can be both a light and a secret. And in this hushed world, the keepers continue their vigil, guardians of memory, interpreters of the unseen, and the silent bridge between the past and the world that waits above. Beneath the Vatican, the walls themselves speak, though not with words we can hear. They speak in symbols etched into stone, in faint scratches that survive the passing of centuries, in the quiet marks left by hands driven by faith, fear, and hope. Every line, every simple cross, every carved fish or faded figure is a whisper from a life long gone, a message sent across time from one believer to another, hidden in plain sight, yet preserved in the cool silence of the catacombs. Imagine walking through these underground corridors. The air is still, the light dim, and the only sound is your own heartbeat echoing faintly off the walls. And there, before your eyes, are signs of devotion etched with care. Small prayers written not on parchment, but on stone. These symbols were not grand declarations meant to impress. They were intimate expressions of belief, placed where only those who understood could see. They speak of courage in a world where faith was dangerous, of hope when the shadows of persecution loomed heavy, of a longing for something eternal in lives often cut short. Each mark tells a story. A fish carved into plaster might commemorate a secret gathering, a hidden mass in a time when Christianity was forbidden. A simple cross, barely visible in the flickering light of a lantern, could represent a vow, a prayer for protection, or a quiet defiance against an empire that demanded silence. These scratches, modest though they appear, carry the weight of human experience, the fears, the triumphs, and the devotion of those who dared to leave traces of themselves behind. Some inscriptions are accompanied by faint illustrations, a loaf of bread, a cluster of grapes, a symbol of life and communion. Others are messages of hope, a word, a name, or even a date, carefully recorded for posterity. These carvings transform cold stone into a living record of humanity's search for or meaning. They remind us that faith often begins in whispers, in the shadows, where no one is watching, and grows quietly, patiently, through the lives of ordinary people. As centuries passed, more hands added to the story. Layers of marks, some overlapping, some forgotten, create a palimpsest of devotion. Walking through these corridors is like reading a layered book written by countless voices, each one seeking to leave a trace, each one hoping that someone, someday, might notice. The walls preserve not just faith, but memory itself, the lives of martyrs, the whispers of saints, the private prayers of those who walked in darkness. In these ancient spaces, the silence is as powerful as the carvings. The walls are patient listeners, keeping their secrets safe while inviting us to ponder what they witnessed. They remind us that human expression can endure in the smallest gestures, that even the simplest markings can speak across millennia. And in that enduring presence, we glimpse the courage of early believers, ordinary people whose quiet faith still resonates in stone, still calls to us from the hidden depths beneath the Vatican. Here, in the shadows of the past, every scratch is a whisper, and every whisper is a bridge between what was and what continues to shape our understanding of devotion, fear, and hope. Beneath the surface of Rome, beyond the marble floors and gilded halls of the Vatican, lie burial chambers that few eyes have ever seen. These catacombs are not part of any tour, not the subject of guidebooks or casual visits. They exist in quiet secrecy, their passageways carved centuries ago to shelter the dead, to honor the departed, and to conceal the beginnings of faith in a world often hostile to belief. Rarely shown, rarely touched, these underground worlds remain cloaked in shadows, preserving the stories that time above might otherwise have erased. Stepping into these catacombs is like entering a space outside of history itself. The air is cool and still, heavy with the scent of stone and memory. Narrow corridors stretch endlessly, twisting through layers of earth, their ceilings low, their walls lined with niches holding the bones of those who came before. Here, each stone is a testament, each corridor a silent witness to centuries of life and death. The faint traces of frescoes, the carved inscriptions, the occasional lamp holder, all speak to devotion and remembrance, a world built in quiet reflection and reverence. For those who once walked these passages, the catacombs were more than burial sites. They were sanctuaries, spaces of worship hidden from prying eyes, where early Christians could honor their dead and practice their faith in secrecy. The corridors allowed families to connect with loved ones even in death, and provided a shield against the powers above who might have sought to silence their devotion. Every turn of the tunnel, every hidden chamber, is a story of survival, hope, and quiet courage etched into stone. Few modern eyes have glimpsed these spaces, and even fewer have documented them. The silence is not merely an absence of sound. It is a guardian, protecting fragile relics and inscriptions from the ravages of time and curiosity. Some chambers are sealed forever, their doors locked by centuries of history, preserving their contents like a secret library of the departed. Within these walls lie fragments of lives, jewelry, lamps, coins, and offerings, small pieces left to honor memory, all frozen in quiet dignity. The catacombs whisper of a past that refuses to be forgotten. Each niche carries the weight of a life once lived. Each corridor stretches like a spine of human devotion, and the shadows themselves seem to guard the sacred trust of the buried. These spaces remind us that history is not only the grandeur above, but also the silence below. They teach us patience and humility, inviting us to reflect on the lives that shaped belief long before empires recorded it in gold. In the end, the catacombs no one talks about are more than burial sites. They are silent keepers of stories, guardians of faith, and vessels of human memory. Walking through them is to walk through centuries of devotion, fear, hope, and resilience, all preserved beneath the city that thrives above. They are a world apart, yet intimately connected to every story that ever rose from the living, a reminder that beneath the holy city lies a hidden realm where the past endures in shadow. Beneath the Vatican, in shadowed corners of corridors few ever traverse, lie treasures not of gold or marble, but of knowledge. Fragile scrolls, their edges crumbling with age, rest under layers of dust and time, bearing the voices of those who lived centuries before us. These manuscripts, often forgotten by the world above, were preserved by hands that understood their worth, scholars, monks, and guardians who knew that ideas can endure longer than empires, that words can outlive kings and conquerors. Each scroll is a doorway to a past rarely glimpsed. The ink has faded, yet the messages remain, echoing across centuries. Some contain records of faith, prayers, and meditations that guided early believers through perilous times. Others hold maps, astronomical observations, or philosophical musings that hint at civilization's understanding of the world far beyond what survives in the open. To hold one is to feel the pulse of history itself, the weight of intellect and devotion intertwined in fragile fibers. Walking among these forgotten scrolls is to move through a library of shadows. Shelves rise like walls of a hidden city, corridors lined with parchment and vellum, each bundle tied carefully to protect it from the decay of centuries. The smell of aged paper mingles with the cool air, a silent testament to the care that has kept knowledge alive. In these halls, every whisper of a page turning could reveal secrets long hidden. A formula, a map, a story that connects the present with the past. Many of these scrolls were hidden deliberately. Wars, inquisitions, and shifts in power made knowledge fragile, dangerous, or forbidden. Some were tucked away to preserve sacred texts, others to protect ideas that could challenge authority. The silence of the archives became a shield, safeguarding truths that might otherwise have been lost to fire, neglect, or fear. The caretakers of these scrolls were not merely archivists but stewards of memory, entrusted with a legacy that could reshape understanding long after their lifetimes. Even today, the manuscripts speak in quiet ways. A faded diagram hints at an ancient architectural marvel. A margin note whispers of a secret ceremony or hidden passage. Each symbol carved or inked into these pages is a conversation across time, asking the living to pause, to reflect, and to imagine. They remind us that knowledge is fragile and precious, that curiosity and patience are needed to uncover the past. The forgotten scrolls are more than records. They are vessels of human thought, devotion, and ingenuity. They reveal a world beneath the Vatican where history itself was carefully preserved, where the unseen minds of centuries past left their mark for those who would come later. To glimpse these manuscripts is to glimpse the heartbeat of an era long gone, yet still speaking, still shaping, still waiting for the right hands to read, to learn, and to carry its lessons forward. In the end, the scrolls remind us that history is layered, fragile, and alive, not only in stone or tomb, but in the words painstakingly preserved, waiting for the light of discovery to illuminate their secrets once more. Beneath the hallowed halls and golden domes of the Vatican, silence reigns over more than stone and shadow. Hidden deep beneath sacred ground, relics rest quietly, their presence a reminder of the rituals and rites that shaped early devotion. These objects, carefully concealed and preserved, carry the weight of centuries, fragments of faith, offerings to the divine, or implements used in ceremonies long forgotten. Each artifact, no matter how small or simple, holds a story waiting for discovery. Imagine stepping into a hidden chamber, the air cool and still, and seeing before you an array of objects untouched for generations. Small figurines, ceremonial lamps, chalices, and carved stones sit as if in quiet vigil, their forms muted by time, but their significance palpable. Some bear inscriptions worn nearly to invisibility, symbols of belief and prayer that speak of devotion in a world where secrecy was often safety. Others are so unusual that even scholars hesitate to classify them, leaving their purpose shrouded in speculation and wonder. These relics are not mere decorations of the past. They are touchstones of human experience, testaments to the lives, fears, and hopes of those who placed them here. Coins left in tombs, tiny vessels of oil, or offerings of wine reveal intimate connections between the living and the dead, between humanity and the divine. Each object is a message across time, a tangible link to rituals conducted in whispers, away from the eyes of power, in chambers where faith was practiced in shadow. Some artifacts hint at practices no longer remembered, rites whose meanings were known only to the faithful who performed them. A carved emblem might symbolize a promise of protection, a talisman of hope, or a marker for a sacred event. Their silent presence invites imagination, prompting questions about the spiritual life beneath the grandeur above. What ceremonies took place here? What prayers were spoken into the darkness? What mysteries did these objects witness that have been lost to history? Archaeologists approach these relics with reverence, for even the slightest disturbance can erase centuries of delicate memory. Each object, carefully catalogued and studied, is a puzzle piece in the vast tapestry of the Vatican's hidden past. Yet some relics remain enigmatic, resisting all attempts at explanation, as though they were intended to guard secrets that are not yet ready to be revealed. Their mystery fuels fascination, reminding us that even in a city as well documented as Rome, there are depths that history cannot fully illuminate. In these hidden chambers, time itself feels suspended. Stone and earth encase the relics as guardians of memory, holding fast to the sacred truths of generations long gone. To stand among them is to feel a profound connection to the past, to sense the devotion that transcends centuries, and to recognize that some knowledge was meant to endure quietly, waiting for patient eyes to witness its presence. The relics buried beneath sacred ground are more than artifacts. They are silent witnesses to a world that once was, guiding us through shadows of ritual, devotion, and mystery. They remind us that beneath the visible grandeur of the Vatican lies a hidden universe of faith, preserved in secrecy, and waiting to reveal its story to those willing to listen. In the hidden recesses beneath the Vatican, where torches rarely reach and silence presses heavily against stone, symbols are etched into walls that have remained untouched for centuries. Strange markings, some faint and almost imperceptible, guard these shadowed passages with a quiet insistence. They are more than mere decoration. They are messages from the past, deliberate in intent, yet elusive in meaning. For historians and archaeologists alike, these symbols remain puzzles, fragments of thought that whisper secrets the centuries have not fully revealed. The markings appear in unexpected places. A spiral scratched into the plaster of a corridor, a cross subtly hidden among geometric patterns, a small fish carved into the corner of a niche. Each symbol seems to hold significance, a message encoded for those who knew how to read it, a warning or a guide left by hands long gone. They hint at rituals, beliefs, and stories that never reached the light of day, stories buried beneath layers of stone, dust, and silence. Walking past these walls, one can almost feel the intent of the creators. Perhaps they were early believers seeking to mark safe passage through the catacombs, or guardians inscribing codes for those who followed. Maybe they were warnings to intruders, symbols meant to repel the uninitiated, or to mark places of hidden treasure or sacred relics. Whatever their purpose, the symbols act as silent sentinels, watching over the chambers, tunnels, and relics beneath the city above. Their meanings are difficult to decipher. Scholars have spent decades cataloguing them, comparing styles, looking for patterns in the carvings, yet many symbols resist interpretation. Some appear to be religious, others astrological, some possibly protective, others cryptic messages whose context has long been lost. Every line, curve, and angle may carry significance, a pause. Deliberate language written in stone that has survived the passage of time. To stand before them is to feel the presence of those who came before, the weight of knowledge encoded in permanence, and the lingering question, what were they trying to protect, and from whom? The symbols also speak to the human need to leave traces, to communicate across time. Even in fear, in secrecy, and in the shadow of persecution, someone took the effort to mark these walls, to leave behind a voice that would endure. They are a testament to the enduring desire to be remembered, to guide and to warn, even when the world above may never know. These carvings and scratches are more than historical curiosities. They are bridges between centuries, connecting us to those who walked these tunnels in quiet reverence, fear, and hope. In their mystery lies a lesson. Not all knowledge is meant to be fully understood, and some truths exist to inspire questions as much as answers. The symbols that guard the dark remind us that the hidden world beneath the Vatican is alive with intent and memory. They are watchful, patient, and enigmatic, waiting for eyes willing to observe, minds willing to ponder, and hearts willing to feel the weight of secrets written in shadows. In this darkness, history speaks not through words alone, but through the enduring language of symbols that have guarded the hidden for centuries. Beneath the grandeur of St. Peter's Basilica, the echoes of history resonate not only in stone and shadow, but in the delicate interplay between power and faith. Here, in corridors carved by centuries of devotion and secrecy, humanity's struggle for truth becomes tangible. The Vatican above is a symbol of authority, of faith centralized and displayed with opulence. Yet below, in the catacombs and hidden chambers, another story unfolds, one of quiet devotion, guarded knowledge, and the persistent tension between what is seen and what is hidden. Walking through these subterranean passages, one can sense the invisible lines of influence drawn across time. The corridors were not only resting places for the faithful, but spaces where decisions were made, secrets were kept, and the balance between authority and belief was maintained. In the hush of the underground, power manifests not through banners or thrones, but through the careful preservation of knowledge, the guarding of relics, and the control of access to sacred sites. Every locked door, every sealed chamber, speaks to a story of governance and discretion, of what was deemed safe to reveal and what must remain hidden. Faith, too, leaves its mark in these shadows. The early Christians who carved symbols into walls or left humble offerings in tombs did so under the weight of secrecy, often risking their lives to honor beliefs that were not yet safe to proclaim openly. Their courage contrasts with the worldly power above, a quiet assertion that devotion is not measured in wealth or influence, but in persistence, hope, and sometimes in silence. Beneath Rome, faith and authority coexist uneasily, layered like the stones that encase them, each telling its own tale of compromise, secrecy, and revelation. The deeper we go, the more the catacombs reveal about the human condition. In these tunnels, hierarchies of power are invisible yet unmistakable. Archival chambers, carefully guarded, hold documents that could shift our understanding of history. Hidden stairways and corridors suggest escape routes and secret access, routes designed to maintain influence or ensure survival during times of political upheaval. Even in darkness, the exercise of authority leaves its imprint, a quiet shadow cast over spaces meant for the eternal. Yet, in these same shadows, we witness resilience and faith that refuse to be suppressed. Symbols carved into stone, frescoes fading on hidden walls, and the very layout of the tunnels speak to a civilization negotiating the delicate tension between secrecy and belief. The past whispers that power may control visibility, but it cannot extinguish conviction. Mystery flourishes where control and faith intersect, leaving us to ponder what is deliberately concealed and what persists despite all attempts at suppression. Beneath the Vatican, power and faith are inseparable. The stone corridors, hidden chambers, and silent catacombs are not merely relics of history. They are reflections of humanity's eternal struggle to reconcile authority with truth, secrecy with devotion. To walk here is to witness the shadows between them, to feel the weight of the decisions, the courage of belief, and the persistent allure of the unknown. Beneath the towering spires and golden domes of Vatican City, the air grows cooler, heavier, and almost reverent. Here, in shadowed corridors carved from centuries-old stone, the echoes of Rome's earliest believers still linger. The catacombs are more than burial chambers. They are silent witnesses to faith born in secrecy, hope nurtured in fear, and devotion expressed in whispers and symbols. Every step through these tunnels feels like a step backward in time, tracing the lives of those who first embraced a belief that would change the world. The early Christians walked in shadows. Persecution and secrecy were constants, yet they carried faith with an unwavering resolve. In these narrow passageways, they built humble tombs, leaving behind modest lamps and carefully carved symbols to guide the departed and remind the living of an unseen hope. Crosses, fish, and prayers, etched into stone, mark the silent devotion of those who understood that survival meant concealment, but that faith demanded expression. Even today, these markings feel alive, voices that reach across centuries to remind us of courage that often goes unnoticed in the grand narratives of history. As one moves deeper, the passages twist and turn like the veins of memory. Small alcoves hold evidence of prayer. Frescoes hint at stories of love and loss, and stone niches cradle the remains of martyrs who gave everything for a belief not yet recognized by the world above. The catacombs do not merely preserve bodies, they preserve the essence of a fledgling community that dared to hold on to its convictions amidst the might of Rome. Every footprint, every faint scratch on the wall is a testament to resilience, proof that even in the darkest corners, faith can thrive. The silence of the tunnels is profound, yet it is not empty. It carries the weight of centuries, the breath of countless pilgrims, and the hushed, voices of those long gone. Archaeologists who descend here speak of an almost spiritual resonance, a sense that the air itself remembers the prayers whispered, the songs softly sung, and the footsteps carefully placed upon cold stone. In this quiet, the invisible threads of history connect the living with the departed, bridging millennia with nothing more than memory preserved in form and space. Walking through these passages, one realizes that the early Christians were not only shaping a new faith, but also a hidden world beneath the city. They were architects of hope, creating sacred spaces where belief could endure against the tides of persecution. The catacombs, once secret, now speak to us, teaching patience, courage, and the enduring power of conviction. Beneath the Vatican, echoes of Rome's earliest believers remain. Their presence is felt in the chill of the air, in the carvings on stone, and in the very geometry of these ancient tunnels. They remind us that faith often begins in silence, in secrecy, in places where the world above may never look. And yet it is here, in the shadows, that devotion endures, quietly guiding those who follow in the footsteps of history's first witnesses. Beneath the sacred halls and sunlit courtyards of the Vatican lies a world largely untouched by human hands. For centuries, the catacombs and hidden chambers remained a mystery, their secrets safeguarded by stone and silence. But today, technology allows us to glimpse what was once imperceptible. Ground-penetrating radar, laser scanning, and miniature drones have become our guides, illuminating passages where no foot has ever tread and revealing structures long buried beneath the weight of history. Science now peers into the hidden world, translating shadows into maps and mystery into measurable form. As radar pulses beneath the floors of St. Peter's Basilica, it detects contours invisible to the eye. Faint outlines appear on screens, echoing the architecture of tunnels and rooms that have remained untouched for centuries. Each scan is a whisper from the past, suggesting corridors and chambers that could hold relics, tombs, or even hidden treasures. The technology does not disturb the sacred stones. Instead, it respects their silence while inviting us to understand their arrangement, their scale, and their purpose. What once required excavation can now be revealed in a moment, without moving a single brick. Lasers sweep through the catacombs, painting detailed digital replicas of walls, niches, and inscriptions. Every crack, every faded symbol is captured in glowing lines of light. The technology allows researchers to preserve the fragile past while studying it with unprecedented accuracy. Frescoes, carved icons, and even the faint traces of offerings left by early Christians are transformed into precise virtual models. These models are more than records. They are bridges across time, allowing us to walk through corridors that the centuries have hidden, to study spaces that human hands could never safely reach. Small drones, equipped with cameras and sensors, navigate to tunnels too narrow for human passage. They drift through shadows that have never felt the warmth of daylight, capturing images and data that open windows into hidden corners of history. Every inch they explore tells a story of devotion, of secrecy, of survival. The images returned are not mere photographs, but portals into a world where faith and mystery converge beneath layers of stone. Technology also preserves memory. Digital scans create virtual catacombs that can be explored endlessly, accessible to anyone with a screen, ensuring that the lessons, beauty, and stories of the underground survive, even if the stone should eventually crumble. With these tools, history is no longer silent. It speaks in precise, luminous detail. Through ground-penetrating radar, lasers, and drones, science reveals the invisible threads of the Vatican's hidden world. What was once unreachable now becomes knowable, while still respecting the sanctity of the sacred stones. Technology does not replace wonder. It deepens it, showing that beneath the city of faith, mysteries await, not to be disturbed, but to be seen and understood as never before. In these glimpses, we realize that the unseen can now speak, and the hidden can finally be mapped, illuminating shadows that have waited centuries for the light. Beneath the grandeur of St. Peter's Basilica and the bustling streets of Rome lies a realm where centuries of history have been preserved in near total darkness. For countless years, these hidden chambers, narrow corridors, and solemn burial halls have remained untouched, their stories sealed in shadow. Today, however, technology has gifted us a new way to explore them. Laser scanning illuminates spaces that human eyes could scarcely perceive, revealing shapes, contours, and inscriptions that have long been swallowed by darkness. With every sweep of light, the unseen is transformed into the known, and the mysteries of the underground world begin to take shape. Laser beams trace the ancient walls with meticulous precision, capturing the finest details of stone, fresco, and sculpture. Every crack, niche, and carved symbol is recorded, creating a digital map so accurate that it feels as if one could walk through the corridors without ever disturbing the fragile past. Faded frescoes, once invisible to the naked eye, emerge in glowing detail, and stone carvings that have endured centuries of decay suddenly speak with clarity. Even the smallest signs, a cross etched into plaster, the faint outline of an offering left for the dead, become part of a living record preserved for posterity. These digital maps do more than simply reveal form. They allow historians and archaeologists to explore spatial relationships hidden beneath layers of stone. The positioning of tombs, the alignment of chambers, and the patterns etched into walls all speak of intentional design, a language of devotion and memory crafted long before our modern understanding of architecture and sacred space. Through light, we can interpret the intentions of those who built and used these underground sanctuaries, connecting with the human stories they encoded in stone. Laser technology also provides access where human presence is impossible or dangerous. Narrow tunnels, unstable floors, and fragile niches can now be documented without ever stepping inside. Tiny details that might have been lost to erosion or neglect are preserved in a digital eternity. Every line of light becomes a bridge, linking the past to the present, allowing us to navigate history in a way that respects its silence and sanctity. The process is both technical and poetic. As the lasers sweep across walls, shadows retreat, and the shapes of the past rise into view. The catacombs, once a secretive labyrinth, become an illuminated archive of human devotion, survival, and artistry. From the smallest carved symbol to the layout of entire burial chambers, the underground world reveals a story encoded in light, of faith enduring persecution, of families honoring their dead, and of traditions passed quietly from generation to generation. Mapping the unseen with light is more than discovery, it is preservation. The catacombs' secrets, long hidden in shadow, are captured for generations to come, offering insight without ever disturbing what has been safeguarded for centuries. Through the precision of lasers, darkness itself becomes a storyteller, and the hidden chambers of the Vatican speak once more, revealing a world where faith, memory, and mystery have survived in quiet, eternal form. Beneath the marble floors and gilded ceilings of the Vatican, a hidden world stretches beyond human reach. Narrow tunnels twist like veins, chambers sink deeper than any footsteps have dared, and fragile walls bear the weight of centuries. For generations, these passages remained untouched, their secrets protected by darkness and danger. Today, however, small, agile machines, drones, have become the explorers of this unseen realm. They drift silently into corridors too narrow, too unstable, or too fragile for humans to enter, their tiny cameras capturing the mysteries that have waited in shadow for millennia. These drones navigate with precision, guided by skilled operators who interpret every movement in real time. As they wind through the catacombs, their lights pierce the darkness, revealing walls etched with prayers, symbols, and images long obscured by neglect and decay. Frescoes, faint and crumbling, emerge into view, colors muted but still discernible. Niches once thought empty show traces of offerings, pottery, or carved inscriptions, hinting at lives lived quietly, in devotion or secrecy. Every inch surveyed by the drones becomes a record, a testimony to human faith and memory preserved beneath layers of stone. Beyond mere observation, the drones act as a bridge between the present and the distant past. They move through spaces where centuries of silence have settled like dust, revealing architectural details that have never been studied in person. The shapes of arches, the alignment of corridors, and the construction of tombs all speak of meticulous planning and sacred intent. Each flight uncovers connections between chambers, hidden passageways, and underground networks that hint at the complexity of a civilization that thrived beneath the city above. The technology allows us to explore without disruption, where excavation might risk damage to fragile walls of shows. A centuries-old frescoes, drones provide a gentle yet thorough means of discovery. Every image they send back, every recording of shadowed corners, becomes a window into a world that was previously closed to human eyes. In these glimpses, we witness devotion etched in stone, memory carved into niches, and the quiet endurance of a faith that survived beneath the bustling life above. Drones also extend the possibilities of preservation. Their digital recordings can be analyzed, mapped, and archived, ensuring that even if the catacombs themselves should suffer decay, the knowledge of their contents endures. Scholars can examine the data in minute detail, comparing chambers, inscriptions, and frescoes without ever disturbing the fragile environment. In this way, machines become both explorers and guardians, illuminating the unseen while honoring the sanctity of what lies below. As the drones glide silently through corridors where no human foot may tread, the catacombs speak once more. Every flicker of light, every captured shadow, tells a story of devotion, secrecy, and endurance. In the depths where centuries have remained hidden, technology allows us to witness the impossible, to touch the untouchable, and to follow history into spaces long swallowed by darkness. Here, in these depths, the past is revealed, not through disturbance, but through vision, through patience, and through the quiet eyes of machines that carry our curiosity into the unseen. Beneath the eternal city, hidden under layers of stone, marble, and history, there are spaces that defy expectation, rooms that should not exist. For centuries, the catacombs and necropolises beneath the Vatican have been mapped, studied, and documented. Yet modern technology now whispers of chambers previously unrecorded. Laser scans and ground-penetrating radar reveal voids behind walls thought solid, corridors branching into shadows that have never felt human footsteps. These discoveries challenge everything we thought we knew about what lies beneath one of the world's most sacred sites. The new scans suggest vast areas hidden for reasons lost to time. Narrow halls open into spaces large enough to have held gatherings, yet no records, no inscriptions, and no signs point to their purpose. It is as if history itself has chosen to forget these chambers. Were they used for secret worship, hidden archives, or shelter in times of turmoil? Or perhaps they were built and abandoned before their story could begin, leaving only the empty walls to hint at the lives and intentions of their creators. Every unexplained shadow ignites imagination, and every line in the digital maps becomes a question mark, etched across time. The very existence of these rooms reminds us that beneath human ambition and faith lies a depth of mystery beyond comprehension. For centuries, the Vatican's underground was believed to be fully charted, each niche, tomb, and passage meticulously catalogued. And yet technology now shows that the unseen has never truly vanished. These hidden chambers might contain relics untouched for centuries, inscriptions hidden from the light, or traces of rituals never recorded in any history book. The possibility alone fuels wonder and caution in equal measure. Exploration here is delicate. Archaeologists cannot simply breach walls to uncover what has been concealed for known reasons. Every scan, every measurement must be approached with reverence. In these corridors the past is fragile, and even a hint of intrusion risks erasing centuries of memory. Yet the unmapped rooms speak volumes, revealing that history is never fully told, and that human knowledge, however careful, is always partial. They remind us that beneath even the most studied ground, secrets wait patiently for the right moment or the right eyes to reveal themselves. And so these rooms remain both a temptation and a mystery. They draw the curious and the devoted, historians and dreamers alike, into speculation. What lies behind their walls? What voices or visions were once confined to these spaces? We may never fully know, and perhaps that is the point. Their very existence challenges the notion that all can be discovered, reminding us that the unseen is as potent as the seen, and that even in the heart of one of the world's most documented cities, shadows persist. The rooms that should not exist are a testament to the enduring silence beneath Rome. They are reminders that history is layered, that faith and secrecy have always walked hand in hand, and that even today, the underground world waits for us to witness, wonder, and reflect on the mysteries it has safeguarded for centuries. Here, in the hidden chambers beneath the Vatican, the past still holds its breath, inviting us to look closer, to question more deeply, and to remember that not all stories are meant to be fully revealed. Beneath the bustling streets of Rome, under the grandeur of St. Peter's Basilica, a different world exists, one where sound diminishes and silence becomes a guardian. The catacombs stretch in labyrinthine corridors, their walls cold and unforgiving, yet holding within them the stories of thousands of lives. Here, silence is not merely the absence of noise, it is a presence, a force that preserves what centuries of human activity above could never hope to protect. Every step echoes faintly, carrying the weight of memory and reverence, reminding visitors that these spaces are hallowed not by ceremony, but by the quiet that has endured for millennia. The silence in these tunnels has a purpose. It guards fragile frescoes, whose colors have survived centuries, inked inscriptions barely readable on walls that might crumble under the weight of careless intrusion. It shelters tombs and niches, where early Christians and Roman families alike sought permanence in a world defined by impermanence. Each unmapped corner, each sealed passage, is protected by the stillness itself, a quiet sentinel against decay and disturbance. The very air seems to carry the gravity of what has been preserved, heavy with centuries of prayers whispered, tears shed, and hopes placed into stone. Walking through these tunnels, one begins to understand that silence is not passive. It is deliberate. The quiet prevents sound from disturbing fragile dust layers that mark centuries of history, and it allows the faintest trace of past devotion to remain undisturbed. In these dim passages, the ghosts of the past are not spectral figures, but memories embedded in walls, in carvings, in every niche. The hush of the catacombs encourages reflection, reverence, and the understanding that some treasures, whether physical relics or the stories they carry, require patience and care to endure. Silence also serves as a shield, held against the curiosity of the unprepared. The tunnels beneath the Vatican are dangerous, their structure delicate, their history priceless. By remaining undisturbed, by letting the quiet persist, these chambers remain intact, allowing generations of historians, archaeologists and seekers to witness what might otherwise have been lost. Each unbroken hour of silence becomes a guardian of knowledge, preserving not just the material, but the intangible sense of devotion, faith, and human striving that gave rise to these hidden worlds. The deeper one moves into the catacombs, the more evident the sanctity of silence becomes. It shapes the atmosphere, making even a whisper seem intrusive, a footstep seem loud. And yet, it is this very stillness that allows the past to speak, to offer glimpses into lives long gone without being overshadowed by the present. In every shadow, every corner, silence keeps history alive, reminding us that not all truths can be shouted into light. Some must be quietly observed, patiently understood and respectfully honored. In the catacombs, silence is not emptiness. It is a living guardian, a protector of time's fragile treasures. It ensures that despite centuries of change above, the voices of the past endure beneath the marble floors of Rome. Here, in this sacred quiet, we are reminded that the past is fragile, and that some of its greatest treasures are preserved not by hands, but by the enduring power of silence itself. Beneath the Vatican, in the quiet labyrinth of tunnels and chambers, history has left its subtle signatures in stone and dust. Every crack in the walls, every chipped corner, every layer of powdery sediment is a testament to lives that once moved, hoped, and prayed here. These are not merely spaces of emptiness, they are repositories of human experience, silent witnesses to centuries of devotion, fear, and perseverance. In this subterranean world, the past speaks softly, yet its voice resonates for those willing to listen. The walls themselves are storytellers. Faded inscriptions carved by trembling hands tell of individuals who lived in times of turmoil, of early Christians who risked everything to leave a message of faith. Small frescoes, their colors dulled by the passage of centuries, reveal glimpses of daily life, of rituals performed with reverence and care. Each symbol, each brushstroke, is a thread connecting the present to a long-forgotten era. Dust, often seen as mere decay, becomes a veil preserving these echoes of humanity, holding them in suspended time until we pause to see and hear. Walking through these corridors, one realizes that every fragment is a narrative. A chipped niche might mark the resting place of a child. The worn stone beneath a footpath could have borne the weight of pilgrims centuries ago. Even the patterns of erosion tell a story. How water seeped through cracks, how centuries of silence allowed each layer to settle undisturbed, guarding the integrity of memory. In the catacombs, nothing is accidental. Every imperfection is intentional, a mark left behind by forces of nature or human hands, speaking in a language we are only beginning to understand. Beyond the visible inscriptions, the dust itself carries meaning. It is a record of what has passed through these chambers, airborne particles from footsteps long gone, fragments of parchment, a powdered stone from centuries of careful excavation. When illuminated by torchlight or the soft glow of modern scanning equipment, the dust becomes almost ethereal, a living layer connecting past to present. It is both fragile and persistent, reminding us that memory, like dust, can settle quietly, yet endure endlessly. These hidden stories demand attention and patience. To walk here is not merely to observe, it is to participate in a conversation across time. The catacombs invite us to slow our pace, to notice the small signs that often go unseen, to let silence guide our understanding. Each fragment uncovered, each wall examined, becomes a dialogue with the past, offering insight into the lives, beliefs, and struggles of those who built this subterranean world. In stone and dust, the forgotten endure. They are not lost, only waiting for recognition. Each whisper etched into the walls, each layer of sediment, is a testament to human resilience, devotion, and the power of memory. Beneath the Vatican, the stories hidden in stone and dust remind us that history is not only written in books or decrees, it is engraved in the very earth, waiting patiently for those who seek to hear it. Beneath the surface of the Vatican, beyond the grandeur of marble halls and gilded ceilings, lies a different kind of stewardship. A careful, deliberate preservation of history in all its fragility. Not every secret buried beneath the holy city is hidden to mislead or obscure. Many are safeguarded to protect truth itself, to ensure that the fragile threads of memory and faith endure untouched by time, curiosity, or human error. Within the quiet, climate-controlled vaults of the archives, centuries of decisions rest in patient silence, each one reflecting the weight of responsibility carried across generations. These archives are not mere collections of paper and parchment. They are living witnesses to the choices made by those who understood the gravity of history. Letters from popes, maps charting forgotten passageways, and records of excavations are preserved with a care born of reverence. Each page holds context, nuance, and significance that could be lost if exposed prematurely. To preserve history is to hold it in trust, not only for scholars and pilgrims today, but for generations yet to come. The Vatican's curators act as guardians, deciding which doors to leave open and which to keep firmly closed. Their choices echo with caution and understanding, a quiet dialogue between the past and the future. Preservation often requires restraint. Some chambers remain sealed not because they conceal scandal or controversy, but because the materials within are delicate beyond measure. Frescoes crumble at the slightest vibration, manuscripts disintegrate in the air, and inscriptions etched into stone weaken under repeated exposure. The silence surrounding these artifacts is deliberate, a form of protection that allows history to survive intact. It is a reminder that knowledge is not only power, it is also vulnerability. To reveal it too soon can be as dangerous as keeping it secret. But these choices also shape perception. The stories we encounter, the discoveries we celebrate, are filtered through centuries of careful decision-making. Each preserved document, each controlled access, represents a judgment about what the world is ready to understand. Some truths may be slow to reveal themselves, emerging only when scholars, technology, and patience align. Others may remain hidden indefinitely, protected not by malice, but by prudence. In this way, the Vatican's preservation is both an act of caution and a gesture of respect toward the past, ensuring that history is honored rather than diminished. Walking through these archives, one senses the weight of centuries pressing softly against the walls. Every corridor, every shelf, every carefully catalogued volume is a testament to the belief that some things are too precious to expose to careless hands. Here, silence is not absence. It is a shield. It allows the fragile, the irreplaceable, the ephemeral remnants of human endeavor to endure. The Vatican chooses to preserve not for secrecy alone, but for survival. In protecting these hidden truths, it maintains a bridge between the past and the present, offering glimpses into lives, beliefs, and decisions that might otherwise be lost to time. The choices made within these walls remind us that history is not just discovered. It is curated, tended, and safeguarded, a responsibility that carries weight as heavy as any stone in the city above. Beneath the serene streets of Rome, hidden under centuries of stone and faith, some truths remain unseen not by accident, but by deliberate choice. In the shadowed corridors of the Vatican's underground, there are mysteries that, if revealed, might challenge what we think we know about history, faith, and human understanding. Some are fragile remnants of the past, too delicate to survive exposure. Others are dangerous, capable of sparking misunderstanding, fear, or even conflict. These secrets are not hidden to deceive, they are protected to preserve. Throughout history, the custodians of these hidden places have understood the weight of knowledge. They have walked the silent halls, turning keys, weighing the risk of revelation against the risk of loss. Some chambers contain relics whose significance is profound, yet whose fragility could not endure the light of the world above. Ancient manuscripts, faded yet potent, could crumble in a single careless touch. Frescoes, once vibrant with color, would wither when exposed to air and light. Even a whisper of curiosity could bring destruction to centuries of preservation. In these moments, silence is not only prudent, it is necessary. Other mysteries remain concealed because the world may not be ready to understand them. History shows that knowledge is not always harmless. A single revelation taken out of context can ignite controversy, fear, or conflict. Certain hidden truths are like seeds, too powerful to plant prematurely. The guardians of the Vatican understand that time can transform comprehension, that patience allows understanding to mature. Some doors remain locked, so that when the moment comes for their stories to emerge, they will be met with the respect, preparation and insight required to honor their meaning. Yet there is a paradox inherent in this protection. The very act of hiding fuels imagination whispers. Of secret passages, locked rooms, and hidden relics captivate the mind, drawing scholars, believers, and dreamers alike into the shadows. The unknown becomes a canvas for curiosity, a mirror reflecting our desire to know, to explore, and to uncover the hidden depths of our world. And so, some mysteries stay buried not to frustrate, but to remind us of the boundaries between human ambition and the preservation of what is sacred. The silence surrounding these truths is a living thing. It presses against stone walls. It lingers in the corridors. It inhabits the shadows where the past and present converge. Every hidden chamber, every locked door, carries with it a message. Some things are too precious, too dangerous, or too fragile to meet the eye unprepared. And in that restraint, there is wisdom. History, after all, is not just the sum of what we see. It is also the measure of what has been carefully preserved for those who may one day walk these halls with reverence. In the end, the mysteries that remain buried beneath the Vatican are as much a testament to human responsibility as they are to the secrets themselves. They remind us that not all knowledge is meant for immediate discovery. Some truths must lie in shadow until the world is ready to witness them. And in that quiet, in that careful guardianship, we see the delicate balance between curiosity and preservation, between revelation and respect, between the seen and the eternally hidden. Beneath the grandeur of Rome, under the marble floors of the Vatican, the shadows stretch endlessly. The catacombs, the hidden corridors, the locked chambers, they call to us not because they are finished, but because they are unfinished. Humanity has always been drawn to the unknown, to the places where history, faith, and mystery converge. No matter how many secrets are uncovered, there remains another layer, another passage, another whisper from the past that compels us to return. The search, it seems, is eternal. Each generation steps into these depths with a mixture of awe and humility. Archaeologists, scholars, and explorers venture beneath the city with careful tools, guided by curiosity as much as caution. Ground-penetrating radar, laser mapping, and tiny drones illuminate spaces that human hands might never touch. Yet even with all the technology of the modern world, there is always more that remains beyond reach. Shadows persist where the light cannot penetrate, and silence waits patiently for the next seeker to listen. The mysteries of the Vatican's underground are not just about what is hidden. They are about the very act of seeking. Every map drawn, every manuscript unrolled, every relic examined brings us closer to understanding, yet reminds us how much we do not know. The past is a layered world, and each discovery is a key that opens only part of the door. For every truth revealed, there are countless questions that rise in its place. The search itself becomes a mirror, reflecting our own desire to comprehend the unseen, to measure the immeasurable, to walk alongside history without disturbing its fragile balance. Curiosity is relentless. Even as doors are opened and tombs examined, there is a tension between revelation and restraint. Some chambers remain sealed, some scrolls remain unread, some symbols remain indecipherable. It is in this tension that the search gains its meaning. To seek without fully conquering is to acknowledge the vastness of what lies beyond us, to honor the voices of those who came before, and to recognize that some knowledge is a journey rather than a destination. The catacombs remind us that time beneath the Vatican is not linear. Past, present, and future fold together in the narrow corridors, where ancient footsteps echo alongside modern curiosity. The search is not a task with an end, but a dialogue across centuries. Every question asked becomes part of a larger conversation with history itself. We return again and again, drawn not just to the stones and relics, but to the stories, the faith, and the silent presence that inhabits them. In the end, the greatest mystery may not lie in the depths of the Vatican at all. It lies within us, our need to uncover, to understand, to imagine, and to wonder. The search never ends because the unseen continues to call, the questions continue to grow, and humanity continues to respond. Every step forward is a testament to our unyielding desire to connect with the hidden, to carry the curiosity of centuries into the next. The shadows beneath Rome wait patiently, and we will always return to walk among them, listening, imagining, and seeking the secrets that lie just out of reach. As we emerge from the silent depths beneath the Vatican, the shadows fade, but the mysteries linger. We have walked through hidden corridors, glimpsed forbidden chambers, and listened to the whispers of centuries long past. Every stone, every inscription, every relic tells a story that connects us to the faith, fear, and devotion of those we come before. Yet for all we have seen, countless secrets remain, waiting patiently in the darkness, untouched and undiscovered. The search beneath Rome is never truly over. It calls to the curious, the brave, and the seekers of hidden truths. If this journey has stirred your imagination, let us continue together. Like, share, and subscribe to Mysteries of Earth to explore more forgotten worlds, unseen histories, and buried wonders. Step with us into the shadows, because the story doesn't end here. It only deepens